Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another day of May I Scraplift You. Today I have chosen to scraplift the awesome Moira O'Reilly. And Moira and I have been friends for quite a few years and we have done a lot of hops together and she is just a joy. She's amazing. So I really enjoy the times that we've talked together and watching her videos and all of the stuff that she does for the Scrappy community. She actually runs a lot of the behind the scenes groups and such. So Moira, thank you for all you do. I really liked this layout that she has. I think it's a photo of her and she is like, the title is over it because I think she's kind of over the snow load. She's in Canada and it was very snowy winter. So I thought I would take that design and turn it into a layout about a girls trip that we did every year. It's our annual scrapbooking retreat, and I have other layouts in this. I don't want to say album because I just have an album actually for all of the things that I do with my friends, like my girlfriends, and I just call it my Fun with Friends album. And I have documented a lot of these annual scrapbooking retreats. And so rather than calling it by the same exact name, I'm just calling this one Girls Trip because it was a girls trip. And on our way over to the retreat, we stop at one of the Tuesday mornings on the way, and we usually end up getting stuff. This year, our retreat place we have chosen a new place to retreat at because the other one upped their prices after COVID quite substantially, and they had some other conditions that we weren't really prepared to go with given the rates. So anyway, this is a photo from 2017. It's with my mom in the middle, myself, and then a friend of mine, her name is Delane. And so I thought I would kind of scrapbook this in colors that I know that Delane likes, and she is really big into black and white and pink, and so that is what I started with. That black and white rose paper is from Maggie Holmes. I want to say it's from Garden Party, but I could be totally wrong. Yeah, I'm not really 100% sure, so I shouldn't even guess at this point. And I gutted my black paper. It's going to actually create a frame around the entire outside, and then the piece that was left over, I cut to border this little piece that I have in the middle with the multicolors, and I gutted that piece as well to create the frame for the photo. And so far, I'm liking the way that it comes out. It's got that vertical band, just like Moira's has, and then it's got a larger piece of paper behind the photos. And so that is making me happy. I'm really liking the dark against the bright, bold pink, and against that black and white paper. Also, if you noticed when I used my punch on the pink strip of paper, I only used it on one side, and then on the other side, I actually punched the black. And that was just to kind of change it up a little so it didn't look identical on each side, but they do have a little added something to those borders. And so I like the way that looks as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get that all adhered down. I did trim this strip to go vertically so that the black border still shows all the way around the outside of the layout. You could easily make it go all the way to the outer edges, but in this case I chose to just have it stay inside that black border. So now I'm just kind of playing with where I want everything layered up and where I want that photo. I'm going to create some of these fishtail banners to crisscross underneath my photos. And so I started with this black piece that was left over, quickly realizing that it's too short, really. It could fit, but it's really too short for what I wanted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it and make it stretch. So I'm going to first get this pink one going. This pink paper, I believe, is from Damask Love. I picked it up at Joann's. I've had it in my stash for a while. Pretty old, like maybe a couple years old. Not really old, but a couple years old. Not like 2010 or anything like that. But it's been in my stash for quite a while. I'm trying to get through a lot of these things in my stash so that I can start getting some of the newer collections and you know, weed through some of the stuff that I currently have that I keep seeing over and over again, and I'm kind of tired of seeing. So these are great patterns to keep in your stash, even if you are somebody who isn't really sure about buying like pattern paper that you're not crazy about. Like I'm not crazy about that light pink paper, but I know that it reads as a solid pink. And so it's a great one to have in your stash when you want a solid pink, but you're not really wanting to purchase a bunch of cardstock. It works for those purposes. And same with the dark pink. These are all pattern paper. I rarely use cardstock with the exception of black and white. So it's important to have these types of papers in my stash, even though they're not like a paper that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this paper so much. The pattern on it is just absolutely beautiful. I have to have 10 sheets of it. It's, you know, it's not that kind of a paper. Even the other side has flowers on it, but they are really bright and bold, and not really my style. So I didn't really buy it for the opposite side. So now I am pulling in this other piece of, floral paper, and this one is from Paige Evans. Again, I am going to just trim it so it spans the distance, or so that I can shrink it just a little bit without having to worry about if I've shrunken it. If I've shrank it, I don't know. If I've made it too small. And then I'm going to go ahead and do another piece of black just to give those nice bold pops, which I'm really liking. Now I realize that I have a lot of pink and black going on, and that paper that is the square behind the photo has some yellows and blues and purples. I'm kind of just ignoring those colors. They go well with the photo because the greens in the trees veer to the yellow side, and I'm wearing blue in the photo, so it works. But I'm not going to try and pick up on those colors for any of my embellishments or anything like that. I'm just going to keep it with the black and the pink. So don't be afraid to mix those kind of things in, even if they're not like the perfect paper. There is green also in that paper, which is fine because the trees have green in them, so it works. But don't be afraid to ignore some of those little bits if you have to. And then I just went through my bin of pink ephemera, and I started pulling out some things that I thought would work. I pulled out this other piece of paper that I had with me at this retreat that had these flowers on it, and I went ahead and fussy cut a bunch of those. And I'm just going to layer things up in the manner that I see works best. So again, I've got lots of different colors or shades of pink, or shades and tones of pink. So by adding more and more, it looks like it's intentional, rather than if I had put that little journaling spot that is in the left hand side there, and it's kind of like almost a orangey color of pink, not really orange, but a peachy pink. It might not have looked like it matched very well, except for that I'm pulling it in other colors. There's a ticket that is up in the upper right hand corner that is a darker version of that, whereas some of the other pieces are more like bubblegum pink. Whatever you add, if you add that same tone or shade in other areas, it's going to look intentional. It's not going to look like it's a misfit. And so I don't think you should like worry about that a whole lot if it is something that you think is going to be, it's not going to work well. So just remember, cut a little bit more of it off and tuck it in somewhere else. I'm just trying to figure out where to put this third flower. I do want to have a third embellishment grouping. I could have just stayed how it was, kind of with the diagonal from the upper right to the lower left, but I had the other half of this flower, and rather than throwing it away, I was like, I'm just going to use it, put it somewhere. Where can I put it? And so it is going to go up in this upper left-hand corner. I just pulled out a little butterfly die cut that is that darker pink, same as the back, or as that band piece. And so it's bringing that color across, like I mentioned. And then I'm going to add a little black strip up in that area as well. So while I work on that, I will remind you there are a bunch of people playing along with May I Scraplift You. Some will be scraplifting other people. And I stuck with the list for the most part. There are a few days that I veered off, given I had other commitments, or there were a couple other people that I wanted to make sure that I scraplifted. So if it's not the same today, that is why. But definitely go check out everyone else who is playing along, because they have a lot of fabulous layouts and a lot of inspiration for you. Also, the really interesting thing about May I Scraplift You is that even though we are possibly scraplifting the same people, we are very likely choosing different layouts. So the inspiration can be endless. So I did pull out those little puffy triangles, and I tucked one of those into each area just to bring that bright pink over to the different areas as well. And I'm liking the way that it looks. And now I'm back home. I hadn't put a title on because I didn't really know what I wanted to call it until I got home, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to call this Girls Trip. So I pulled out these stickers, and I'm trying to get these used up. So I'm using the uppers and the lowercase and just being creative in how they are stacked up as a title. I think you can still read it just fine, but I did not have a small R, and I didn't want to use that large T that I just put down because it trapped a bunch of space between the R and the T. And by using the lowercase, it kind of doesn't look like it's just created a line across underneath the R where there's nothing above it. So I'm really liking the way that it looks. I do realize that it kind of looks like RIP, but there is a T in front of it. So I'm just going to go with it. And then I just used some of the little dots from the punctuation and the other letters to go ahead, and I used them in place of like an enamel dot or a sequin, and that's just going to finish it off for me. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have questions or comments, as always, leave those down below. It does take me a little bit of time to get back to you, so hang tight and I will respond. Thank you again for watching, and don't forget to check out everyone else playing along. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, I would really love for you to do that. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe as well. And I think that's just about it. Take care. Have a great day. I will see you guys again tomorrow with another May I Scraplift You video. Bye-bye.